Everyone, so I know it's taken me forever to do this series, but one day it'll be completed. We are continuing on with the Learn the Tarot series. We are now moving into the wands, and I decided to start with that because we just finished all the major arcana, and so now we are in the minor arcana, and the wands, because the major arcana starts off with the magician, the wands I felt were the next smooth transition into the minor arcana. And we're starting with the Ace of Wands. And whenever there's a 1 in the minor arcana, it is going to connect back to and relate back to the magician in some form. And in this case, we're connecting to the energy of the wands. And this, and again, I'm reading more intuitively. I'm not necessarily breaking it down according to the traditional symbolism, but I do recommend that you do learn about that. I think it's important, but I read more intuitively, more fluid. But I do think that that basic knowledge is good to have as well. Just remembering that there's no one meaning for any card. Like, you can Google any card, but that doesn't mean that that's what's happening in the situation or the scenario with the reading that you're doing for whoever you're doing it for, because depending upon the question, the situation, the cards around it, what you're picking up on, and things of that, the meaning can change. And sometimes, like I said before, in many of the other readings, the cards are just to kind of spark something like a download, and then you fill in the rest with your intuitive and psychic abilities naturally. Anybody can read the basic, can learn to read rather, the basic meaning and definition of a card and a layout or a spread, but it doesn't mean that they're reading well. It doesn't mean that they're going to that next level. So I say all that to say that I do think it's good to have the basic knowledge, but I'm not the type of reader who goes by all of these rules and things like that. I don't think there's one way to do anything. I think spirituality is customized. So if you're still wondering, this is the Melanated Classic Tarot, but back to it. Ace of Wands energy. Think of it like it's a fresh start. Wands often represent action. They also, like actions and behaviors and things of that nature. So now it's kind of like you've had all these lessons that have happened that life has taught you through these major arcana type events, and when you're tapping into the energy of the wands, it's like, okay, now what are you gonna actually do about it? Not in terms of like just ideas, not in terms of what you're feeling or thinking, but what are you doing now actually? What actions are you taking on a day-to-day basis to create these new goals? And it's like a new beginning, and remembering that the power is in your hands for this fresh start, this new beginning, and to make things happen. Putting emotion into your manifestations now, or actually taking those steps to create your manifestations now. Remembering that only you can create this change in your life. You have the responsibility for the results that you're seeing in your own world and your reality. So how are you now going about things and approaching the actions to ideally create the world around you the way you see fit, knowing that you have all of these tools and this knowledge and these experiences now. So what are you going to do with it? Of course, this meaning can change depending upon the type of reading and the cards around it, like I said. In certain cases, some people do read time frames with, like, for example, the wands, the pentacles, the swords, the cups. Sometimes, not all the time for me, but sometimes I pick up on, like, if somebody is asking about a time frame, it would either be a 1, because the ace is a 1, and also this kind of also looks like a 1. Sometimes it gives the energy to me of like summer, or every now and then spring, with this like new growth here. So again, it's going to be different for everyone. That's when you have to learn to trust your own vibes as well. In certain cases, the wands can represent more of a phallic symbol, you could say. So it could relate to sensuality, sexuality, attraction, things of that nature, depending on the kind of reading. I don't put too much emphasis on reversals. It kind of just depends on what feels right to me at that time. I don't put too much weight on reversals. I do read them sometimes, but like I said, you don't have to. If this were to come up reversed, it would of course depend upon what I'm picking up on, the question, and the other cards around it. But sometimes if it's reversed to me, I've noticed that it can mean like maybe someone's not seeing their power, someone's hesitant to take action towards the change or what they're manifesting, or maybe they're struggling with actually believing it could happen. Maybe sometimes someone is more in a place of like experiencing a blockage of like confidence, or not feeling like their best, low self-esteem. Sometimes it could mean that like if maybe somebody's asking about like a romantic scenario, maybe they only see this as something more surface level or sexual and not that deep, and it's kind of like more of a hookup kind of a vibe. So it can mean different things, but mostly sometimes when it's reversed, I feel like it's some sort of blockage when it comes to seeing the power, or a blockage when it comes to belief of things coming to fruition or manifestation, or your ability to change something. So again, going back to whether it's upright or reversed doesn't matter, because you could still get a quote unquote positive or negative meaning even if it's upright. It just depends upon, you know, what else is happening around it and the vibe you're picking up on when actually doing the reading in itself. So you don't have to read it reversed, but if it does come reversed, I would typically just kind of see it as some sort of blockage or problem, or maybe someone who's not able to really get deeper, or not willing to take more serious action and just keep it more surface kind of a thing. Or struggling with that first action, or struggling with a transition into a new beginning, new chapter, can come across that way as well. But again, for the most part, when it's like upright, think of it like the power's in your hands. In summary, the power's in your hands. If it's upright, you know, usually, or maybe even if it's reversed, like if the other cards around it are like, if you feel that they're trying to encourage more of a sense of taking that power back, that's how I would see it. So Ace of Wands is just remembering your magic, basically, and the first step in a new chapter, and what actions are you going to take in the growth that you've been making, how you can continue to grow and to grow your manifestations into reality, and remembering that you deserve the best. I'm seeing like when I see this, I think of like your castle, symbolically speaking, is on the way. Yes, it's off in the distance, but you're working on it, you're manifesting it, you're customizing it. Your world, your reality, castle in the symbolic sense of like your goal, you're creating it with this Ace of Wands energy. So if you want to look up the traditional symbolisms and meanings, I encourage it, but just remember, there's not one meaning to any card and the meanings can change depending upon what you're picking up on as a reader, or what that reader is picking up on. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Bye. Oh, before we go, comment below some things that you've noticed about the Ace of Wands, or how you've connected to it, or maybe how your view of it or perspective of it can sometimes change over time, or just, I like hearing interesting ways that it showed up in readings and how it played out. So let me know those. If you made it this far, can you send me the wand emoji, like this video, and subscribe to my channel if you want to, of course. And if you choose to, you can always tip by buying me a coffee for being your teacher in this, and that's all down below in the description, as well as where you can go to book a reading with me if you want to. Bye.